Hey, thank you guys so much for inviting us. Really excited to be here in front of you and discuss some statistics for Lexington County, the Midlands as a whole, and the state of South Carolina. To start off, we're going to show you, the state level statistics, go down to the Midlands, and then to the local. Joel, you want to say a few words?
Thank you for having us this morning to go over kind of what's going on in our local market as well here in Lexington. We have a lot of changes going on, and it's a different market than we've ever experienced in my career. And I have some very, very experienced agents in my office, and it's a different market than they're experiencing in their career. So we're excited to give you this program this morning.
So, even before COVID hit us, the state of South Carolina was one of the hottest markets, in the nation, especially Lexington County, Charleston, all over the coast, doing really well in real estate. Honestly, even when we had our initial shutdown, there was a little bit of a stalling, but thankfully with the work of CCRA, our state Realtor Association, we were able to ensure that residential and commercial real estate was essential, during COVID when everything was being shut down, which wasn't the case in some areas of the country, especially in the Northeast. So starting off with days on market, as you can see, there's been about 25% drop in the time that real estate across our state is on the market, almost, basically 2 months. This trend can be seen, across the state, especially in Lexington and Richland County, which we'll see. As you can see from that historical graph on the bottom. Yeah, right there. We're at a level where we haven't really seen before, even going all the way back to 2005. So the percent of listing price that we're receiving right now is nearly at 100%. It's at 98% right now. I call this slide a good talking point for why you need a realtor, because you're getting basically 100% of what you're asking for. The stats for Lexington County specifically are even better, which we'll get into here a little later. South Carolina is, without a doubt, a seller's market right now. If you put your house on the market, you're basically getting what you want. COVID, what we've seen nationally from our National Association of Realtor Statistics, has shown that housing demand has increased from where it was even in 2019. One of the big factors for that is an influx of millennial buyers into the market. Right now, nationally, millennials make up 37% of the national home buying demographic, if you will, which is by far the largest group. South Carolina has also seen a huge influx of out-of-state buyers too. Like I said before, we had some states, and especially the Northeast, that they stopped real estate altogether, and that caused a lot of homeowners there to move down. A lot of people that were looking maybe to buy in the Northeast decided instead to come to the South, the South and the West Coast actually, because our markets are doing so well and real estate was open. And we'll get into this a little bit more too on how that affected the Midlands. Okay, so that's the percent of listing price there. So now all those numbers, what that has caused is a housing affordability issue, and you can see on that historical graph how that's fallen pretty tremendously here, especially in the past 3 years. A lot of this is the statewide, so a lot of this is caused by this drop has been caused by the coastal area, where it's really become unaffordable, especially in Charleston, to buy homes. I was just talking to Charles. Homes down there are, kind of averaging close to $1 million on the market, whereas here in the Midlands, it's kind of more in the 150 to 250 range that we're seeing. Even though affordability is going down, the Columbia and Lexington markets are still pretty affordable when you compare compare them to the rest of the state, but we'll get into that more later on how that specifically impacts the Midlands. But this is a huge advantage for our state and for Lexington. Lexington does have a more favorable tax setup, especially personal property taxes, when you compare it to the city of Columbia. So this is my gloom and doom slide here. This is, you know, when it's a huge seller's market, when you're seeing 100%, you know, you get 100% of your asking price. The reason for that is because there are no homes on the market. We have seen a 50% drop across the state in the homes that are on the market. And I want you to look here at this graph right here. So, I mean, this is the prior year, and this is back in 2020. We saw a pretty stable amount of homes here in March and April, and then you can see kind of in the summer there was a huge rush on you know, home buying, and we dropped pretty significantly, about 3,000 homes, 2,000 homes, you know, 1,000, and then we've been pretty even going down 1,000 homes basically per month. And you can just see how tremendous that drop continues to be. So, of course, yesterday, I left my office when we got our newest numbers from the MLS. And, you know, of course, all these stats are from February, and now we have the March numbers. So now in March, inventory has dropped 53.8%, and we are at 12,754 homes. So we dropped about 2,000 homes from February to March. So I'll tell you, so that's 14,253. So now we're at 12,754. We have 25,000 realtors in the state of South Carolina. So that doesn't include your non-realtor real estate agents. So as you can tell, that's an issue. There's not enough homes to go around, and we'll get more into how these numbers look in the Midlands. So enough about the state market. Let's get into the Midlands. These stats that I have from you are from our consolidated MLS, which covers our whole Midlands market. So we'll start off with pending sales. You can see that a typical first-time home buying family, you know, those homes are the ones leading the market. Here. Those are those 100, about $300,000 range homes. Charles, how have you seen, what have you seen to be the case for especially out-of-state buyers coming into our market? Are they more prevalent compared to what you've seen in the past, especially investors?
We're seeing a lot of New Jersey, New York, California, Pennsylvania, Ohio, coming into the area more than we have in the past. The other issue that we're having, or the other thing that we're seeing more of in the Midlands, is a lot of investor buyers. So a lot of these first-time home buyer homes where we have 20 and 30 offers per home in 2 days of listing, we've got cash buyers coming in as investors that's pushing these people out of the saddle for home ownership. So that's kind of what we're seeing in the Midlands. The other thing that we're seeing is last year's sales versus this year's sales. Our average sales price in Lexington last year was $231,000. This year it's $264,000. So we're seeing over a $30,000 increase in average sales price, and people's getting equity. We're selling houses that we sold people a year and a half ago and making them anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 in equity on a $200,000 house.
Yeah, so I also want you to notice here, just for later, a little different than everything else, these 4-bedroom or more homes, you notice that in 2021, we actually have seen a drop in the amount of pending sales on those homes. We'll get back to that a little later, but I just wanted to point that out for you to keep in mind. So here is South Carolina, so the Midlands days on market here. You can see, especially the $150,000 to $200,000 homes, all the way up to $300,000. They're basically on the market for just a month. Basically, by the time you put something into the MLS, you're getting an offer that day, and this process is moving really quickly. Charles, do you want to kind of talk about how this process has been for you when you initially put a home on the MLS? I mean, how quickly are you seeing offers, and how that process has been going?
So keep in mind that this average days on market of 30 days, that's the day they go under contract to the day they close. And it's taken about 30 to 45 days to close a house. So when we put a house on the market, we put it on Thursday, we have 20 to 30 offers by Saturday or Sunday. We've got sellers that are choosing to review offers 3 days after listing to accumulate the demand of the market. So we're seeing a good bit of multiple offer situations, which doesn't make it easy for the sellers because, or the listing agent, because we're trying to decipher between the offers and help our sellers to make the best decision between the offers that are presented.
And I just want to point out, just ignore this graph. This was a mistake. Homes aren't being left on the market for 14,000 days. So, but so this shows you more of a year-to-year comparison of days on market. You can see, I mean, even going back to 2005, we've never seen homes really going this fast before. It's just incredible. These numbers continue to drop even in the March numbers. They've gone even lower, so we're already at 39 days on the market, and I think it's now at like 32. And like Charles said, so I mean, this is, you know, once they're under contract, I mean, this is what these numbers mean. So, I mean, it's just a quick turnaround. So these are median sales price. So this is the average sales price. This is kind of the number we're seeing most often in the middle here. Across the board, kind of as Charles alluded to, I mean, we've seen growth in every area. Prices increase. If you're getting, yeah, here we go. If you're getting about 100% of your asking price, I mean, that's what you're going to see. There's not really much room to negotiate. Charles, are you finding that the case that you can't really negotiate? I mean, you kind of have to give them up.
We're going in with our highest and best and asking for very little concessions, if any. We're looking in the Midlands, in the Lexington area here, we're looking at 100 to 110% over list price. So we got list price versus sales. We're 100% of list price to 110% of list price. We're seeing offers come in on a $180,000 house at $200,000. And then we run into appraisal issues. The appraisers cannot keep up with the demand of the market. So the appraisers usually use past sales to come up with value of homes. Well, we got demand in the market. The market's moving faster than our comps right now. So we're running into appraisal issues a lot of times with these homes as well.
Let me see, so I mean, this is again the year-to-year trend for percent of list price received. You can just see how big a jump is. If you look, you know, starting, let's start at 2016. Kind of where you started is where you ended. 2017, there was a little bit of an increase there. 2018, about, you know, where you started was where you ended. Same thing for 2019, 2020. You can see how big of an increase we had last year, where that just kind of shot up for percent of price received. The March numbers show that we are, so right now, February we were at 98%. March shows that we're above 99%. So, I mean, if that trend continues in April, we'll just about be at 100%. So, I mean, it's just unimaginable. I mean, even going back to 2005, you can see there you're about at 97%. Nothing was really even close to 99% these past years. And I mean, it's just a completely different market. And again, so that's, I mean, for the Midlands too, that's caused issues with housing affordability. You remember what I said is that overall, the Midlands is pretty affordable, and that is the case when you compare us to, you know, Charleston County, to Horry County, to Greenville, Charleston. I mean, Columbia, Lexington are still affordable places, especially for these millennial buyer demographics coming in that are looking for the first time house. Like we saw those $150,000 to $300,000 homes, or they're there, their prices are going up, but where they're at isn't as much as a home for that value would be in those other areas of the state. A couple of things that may help cool down this market a little bit is an increase in interest rates. We saw a slight increase here at the beginning of the year. It's kind of slowed down a little bit where it hasn't really increased much. The national economist for the Realtor Association, Dr. Lawrence Yoon, has said that we're not really ever going to see where interest rates are basically at zero that we've seen kind of in the past. That we'll continue kind of to creep up a little bit, but really nothing to the levels that you've seen way back where it was up to like 7%. We're probably going to be around that 3, maybe 4% if we even get that high increase. And I mean, as you can see, we kind of need to cool down the market a little bit and allow our supply to catch up to our demand, because the biggest issue is inventory, especially in Lexington. So nationwide, housing inventory is a major problem. As you can see, the worst range hit by inventory is our more affordable homes, the below $100,000 to $200,000 range. Nationally, in our stats, our National Association of Realtor stats show that during COVID, what's been driving the market has been kind of a wealthier home buyers, especially those out-of-state buyers moving, into different areas. One thing we saw is that, people in these big cities, a lot of people thought that was kind of going to be the movement where people move more and more into the cities. COVID kind of showed those people what happens when things shut down and you're really packed together. So a lot of people are now looking for more wide open spaces, more, kind of that suburban home to, kind of have more area to spread out. Lake Murray has been a huge draw, especially for these buyers, that don't necessarily want to pay for the higher prices in Charleston on the beachfront property, but would like to have, that water, that lake area. So we've seen a big increase there. You can see the 200 to 300 and the 300 and above, especially those 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. We have a little more homes than you would the other areas, but it's still a pretty big decrease. And then this is kind of our disaster slide right here, a lot like the initial one. They said the 3 most important words in real estate are location, location, location. Now it's inventory, inventory, inventory. There are over 3,000 realtors in CCRA that are members. So our 2021 numbers right now for February show 1,194 homes. And I think in total, CMLS has about 4,000 users. So, I mean, it's completely unsustainable the way things are going right now. March numbers show a 62.4% drop in inventory. We are now at 1,002 homes. So if that trend continues in March, we're going to be under 1,000 homes in the Midlands market. Insane drop, incredible demand, but I mean, we just do not have the supply. I mean, you can see this graph over the years. We've never really seen inventory this low before, and it's definitely a cause for dramatic concern. Charles, kind of how has inventory been impacting your firm here of late?
It's making it a lot more challenging. In 17 years, I've never had to knock on doors, and we're actually going through neighborhoods and knocking on doors now, looking for people that want to sell homes. And to bring that number a little more local in the Lexington area as far as inventory, 150,000 to a 300,000 home. We have 3 on the market right now in this area. And I can guarantee you they're holding offers. That's why they're not pending. So that's why we're getting so many offers per house. There's so many buyers out there and so little inventory that we're physically walking neighborhoods asking people that they want to sell their homes. That's how we're finding inventory for our buyers.
So one thing that happened, across the nation the past 5 years, the amount of real estate agents in South Carolina has grown tremendously. The amount of realtors in all associations has grown. Our national association is at record-breaking levels of membership. A lot of what we've seen is that when COVID hit, a lot of people that lost their jobs decided to come into the real estate industry, get their license. thinking, which, I mean, is true, is that the market's really high. You see these high prices, you see, 99% of the asking price that you're getting. Why wouldn't you want to enter that? Well, this is the reason, because there are just no homes to go around for these people. So we do expect there to be a drop in membership right now. Not a huge drop, but we do expect there to kind of be a correcting of the market, if you will. And like Charles said, this problem is even worse in Lexington County. There's, understandably, we'll talk about it a little bit, but there's, a lot of NIMBYism out in my backyard. That's kind of taken hold over the area. One of the reasons people move to Lexington is for, the rural look of the county, for the wide open spaces, for the lake, for the rivers, and all that. We'll get into that. Traffic is, all that growth has caused a lot of issues with traffic. So like I said, we'll get into that, but major issue. So we'll go now into more specific markets, kind of see what individuals. Charles talked a little bit about Lexington. We'll look at a couple of Richland County areas too, especially City of Columbia, because the city kind of impacts everything in this area. But you'll see, so there's more homes right now that are available, especially in the City of Columbia compared to Lexington County, and one of the big reasons for that is the tax issue. Okay. So I'll move through these pretty quickly. So first one is the Irmo, St. Andrews, Valentine area. Notice the inventory for all these. We've had over a 50% drop in inventory. Medium sale prices are going up, but just unsustainable inventory. Okay, the KC, West Columbia area, you see over a 70% drop in inventory. This area has seen a huge influx of, especially millennial buyers. One big thing that's happening is a lot of businesses are moving over from City of Columbia because of the tax situation into a more favorable tax situation in the Lexington County area, especially in KC. We've had a lot of affiliate members, business owners that have talked about wanting to do this just because it's easier basically to do business in Lexington County. March inventory shows that we're now at 46 homes, and so that's a continued drop of 68%. That's gone down, so we really haven't seen much gains in that area. And I'm sure you guys have heard about this, but the state chamber and our state association recently did a tax study, especially on Act 388, that I encourage you guys all to look at, especially give your elected officials. That just shows kind of the tax impact, especially in the Midlands area. I'm sure you guys kind of talked about that, so won't go into too much detail about that, but definitely check that out. Yeah, this is the City of Columbia. Like I said, you haven't seen as big a drop in inventory, only a 36% drop. I'm not sure what happened with the median sale prices here, 94%, but it was showing that last 2020 was 72. I'm not sure why that was the case, but the current March one is that 2020 was at 125, and 2021 is now at 159, so a 27% boost in sales price. You can see City of Columbia has really just seen flat growth compared to other areas. One of those issues is the tax issue, like I was talking about, that's kind of pushed people out, but there are homes available in the City of Columbia. Columbia Northeast is another area of Richland County that's seen massive growth compared to other areas in Richland County, but just major drop in inventory, 61% drop here, and then now in March we have a 72% drop. And I'll just kind of quickly go through. Not many people live out there. In Lexington, Charles kind of went over these numbers. 71% drop in inventory in February. Now in March, there is a, let's see, I did not write it down. I won't have the March inventory numbers, but new listings are down 16%, and our closed sales are down 56.7%. So, here we go, I'm looking at the wrong one. Okay, here we go. So our inventory right now in March for Lexington is now at 68.6%, and the median price has gone up 14.7% to about $234,500. We talked about that NIMBYism a little bit in Lexington County, and that's definitely true. One thing we really want to push is smart growth in the area. Right now, County Council is discussing a moratorium on new developments in Lexington County. With these numbers, I think that's the wrong direction to go, because, what we need is more smart development, because like people brought up, traffic is definitely a big issue here. You have a question?
Yeah, I would like, since Earl's here, could we hear about not just the inventory of existing homes, but what are we doing in new home starts? Like, how is that inventory increasing? And forget about this whole idea of a moratorium. Like, what are we doing with new home starts? We're growing our schools, we have the best schools. So if we're growing our schools to accommodate all this, how do we factor in new home starts?
Yeah, I can't speak for Earl, but I know one issue that we're seeing is lumber prices have really hurt development and building in our market. And I don't know if you want to have Earl come up or talk about that or afterwards, yeah, so that's a big issue. What we need is to find a smart way to kind of develop the area and really alleviate the demand for their homes, especially in Lexington County. Yeah, so I was really hopeful that from the March numbers we would see a little bump up in the inventory, but as I said, those numbers continue to drop. So it looks like there really aren't going to be that many homes to sell in the summertime, which is definitely very concerning. I'll skip over this one. So I kind of skipped over the Richland County area of Lake Murray and Chapin, but we'll go ahead and go to the Lexington side here. Just to kind of show you, there's not as much demand for these higher end homes. There was definitely last year, like we said, when those kind of wealthier out-of-state buyers were looking for their lake home. The 400 plus homes, there are not many of them out there still. Inventory across the board is down, but we're not seeing as high as the demand there. And then I just kind of wanted to show you a little bit of, we've seen not much of a sales price increase. You can kind of see across the years that, the winter months have been, not as great for Lake Murray. One of the reasons is, people aren't really looking for a lake home in the winter, but even going into summer, there's nothing available. March shows that there is a 81.3 decrease in inventory, so even lower than what the February numbers are seeing. Lake Murray is definitely a big economic driver for the whole Midlands, but it just comes down to here. So it just gets down to, the big issue, as you know, as I've said, is that it's inventory. We need to increase it because the demand is just insane right now, and we just do not have the supply to make it. The summer months, based on where we're trending here from February and March, it just doesn't look like there's going to be anything available. If you've got a home to sell, then now's the time. So you're getting about 99% of what you're asking for. Things like this moratorium, trying to limit development, I don't think are the right ways to go. Kind of finding a more smart growth way to develop the area, find areas that can handle influx of traffic is the smarter kind of way to do things. But bottom line is South Carolina has benefited dramatically from the COVID shutdown in a real estate perspective, not from a health or anything like that. But we've seen an insane hot start in 2020. Now in 2021, that may start declining a little bit. So just expect that. And to end it here, like I said, even though we've seen prices increase, affordability decrease, Lexington and Columbia are still affordable areas that offer out-of-state and millennial buyers a great place to live. And you had a question?
Do you have any comparisons on what land is selling for since the construction costs are higher?
Yeah, I don't have the land numbers. Do you?
Land prices, because of the demand, we're seeing more land sales sell now than I've seen in my history of being in real estate. So we're seeing an increase in land sales as well. And to elaborate a little bit on new construction, there were several new construction builders that actually stopped writing contracts in the Lexington area because the demand was so great in those certain price ranges and subdivisions. They could not get trusses, they could not get building materials. They're waiting on windows in certain cases, waiting on appliances. So that demand influx that has come in has slowed down the building as well. So we've seen several builders here in town. They've decreased incentives for us to bring them buyers to try to slow down that production a little bit. We're seeing building times increase from 6 months to 9 to 12 months or more in some subdivisions.
So I know I went a little bit over my time. Just wanted to offer you, if you want to see more of these stats, make sure to follow us on social media. You can also see these stats on our website, ccrasc.com. And if you're a realtor, you can also see these on the state website, all across the state. So thank you so much.